GoForThe2.com in with the Week 12 breakdowns. We already put out the picks. I apologize about the technical difficulties. I'll just give you some thoughts about the 7 selections for week number 12. Michigan goes on the road to face Maryland. Michigan steps up with a dominating road performance, 227 rushing yards against Penn State's defense that was only giving up about 60 yards per game and only 2 yards per rush. They dominate on the ground and now go on the road to face off against Maryland. Maryland did get the road win over Nebraska, comes back home. They're playing with house money right now. It is the week before Michigan plays Ohio State. It's back-to-back road games, and Maryland did push Michigan to the limit last year, lost that ball game in the Big House by only 7 points. Think Michigan wins, but Maryland is live, plus the 19.5 this coming weekend in College Park. Tennessee goes on the road last week to face off against Missouri, gets absolutely abused offensively and defensively. Missouri ran it. They threw it with Brady Cook, and that defense from Missouri shut down a very high-powered rushing attack of the Tennessee Volunteers that came into that ball game averaging around 227 rushing yards per game. Tennessee is a much different team on the road than they are at home. 17-game home winning streak dating back to 2021. They get top-ranked Georgia. All 3 losses by Tennessee this year on the road. They come back home, line opened up at 8.5. It's up to 10.5 in most books here in New Jersey. I think Tennessee pushes Georgia to the limit. They make it a 4-quarter game. Not sure if they win, but they do cover the 10.5 point number Saturday afternoon in Knoxville. Florida catching 11.5 against Missouri. Missouri dominating win, which we just mentioned, over Tennessee. On the flip side, Florida allowed over 600 yards of total offense to quarterback Jaden Daniels and LSU. They were within the number, 14.5 for much of the game, but then in the fourth quarter allowed it to slip. They lose the ball game by 17 points, but Florida can step up this weekend against Missouri. It's back-to-back road games. We know about Napier being a better underdog coach than he is as a favorite, 7-5 ATS over the past couple of seasons. But more importantly, Florida still needs one more win to become bowl eligible, catching 11.5 on the road. They won this ball game last year in Gainesville by 7, like Florida to be within the 11.5 this coming Saturday in Columbia. 4 Big 12 teams, 2 favorites, 2 dogs. Texas Tech playing very well, laying 2.5 against UCF. They've won 2 straight, sitting at 500, have an opportunity to become bowl eligible. Brennan Morton looks very consistent. Taj Brooks playing lights out, but more importantly, very impressed with the defense of Texas Tech in back-to-back games. They play very good red zone defense over the past couple of weeks. UCF going on the road after an emotional win over Oklahoma State. I think Texas Tech does strike, not the upset, but does win this ball game convincingly, anywhere from 7 to 13 points in that area. I think they get a double-digit win over UCF. I just think they're more physical, play much better at home, like the rushing attack of Taj Brooks, and I think that defense can confuse John Rice Plumlee, force him into mistakes. Texas Tech covers a very short number, 2.5 against UCF this weekend. Oklahoma State laying the 7.5 against Houston. They failed to show up in Orlando. Ali Gordon and the rushing attack completely taken out of that ballgame. Turnovers by Alan Bowman, critical, allowed UCF to jump up 14-0, but more importantly, 24-0 in the first half. The rain completely shut down Oklahoma State's offense. They have everything in front of them. They need to win out the next 2 games against Houston and BYU. Iowa State loses to Texas this weekend in Ames. Oklahoma State would find itself in a Big 12 championship, most likely against the Texas Longhorns, laying 7.5. I think they get back to the ground game. Ali Gordon breaks out. Houston allowing 164 rushing yards per game. That's the difference. Oklahoma State wins and covers the 7.5 point number in Houston this coming weekend. 2 dogs in the Big 12. Baylor plus the 12 over TCU. TCU has won 3 straight in the series, but very close by an average of only, I think, 3.5 points per game. The total over the last 3 meetings, 8 points have decided that. It went 1 last year, 29-28, 2 the year before, and then in year three years ago in 2020, it was only a 5-point game. I know David Aranda and that offense inconsistent with Blake Shapen, but I still think they can run the football on TCU. TCU pushed Texas to the limit in the fourth quarter, lost that ball game, but covered as a double-digit underdog, lost by 3, 29-26. TCU might win, but Baylor does cover the large spread, 12 points in Fort Worth. Then BYU got absolutely pushed around by Iowa State. That was one of the picks last week. Rocco Beck threw it. The rushing attack took over for Iowa State, but now Oklahoma comes to town. Oklahoma dominated West Virginia last week. They now go to Provo. Still a very difficult place to play. Line exploded. It's not 10, it's not 13, it's 24.5. BYU is still 4-1 at home. I think they step up, make it a 4-quarter game. They're within the 24.5 this coming weekend against the Sooners. Those are the 7 picks. Maryland plus the 19.5. Tennessee plus the 10.5. Florida plus the 11.5. Texas Tech minus the 2.5. We also have Oak State minus the 7.5, Baylor plus the 12, and BYU plus the 24 and a hook. Your picks for this weekend. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you on Saturday.